The issue hasn't been that we haven't been able to find the items. The issue previously was that when you found the items, the consequences really just didn't match the issue.
How many correction officers have been penalized for bringing in contraband into the system?
So what I would encourage you to do is to look at the civil service rules that govern how we can put discipline into the management of the correctional facilities. The way that the correctional services is structured is not like the police or like jail. It's not the same. You cannot manage the correctional services the way you manage the police and the jail. The law isn't structured like that. That is one of the things that we're going to have to deal with, the full repeal and replacement of that. So the civil service rules apply to an agency that really is a uniform group and should be governed accordingly, which has made it particularly difficult for ministers, commissioners to bring about the discipline and the management in the spaces. There have been some charges that have the exact number. I know of 2 in recent times of persons who were charged bringing in contraband. Right? I'm sure there'll be more now that the law has teeth. The issue hasn't been that we haven't been able to find the items. The issue previously was that when you found the items, the consequences really just didn't match the issue. So now that we've changed and put in place consequences that we believe match the severity of the issue, we think you're going to start to see stemming of that space. Because there really wasn't any concern or fear from either inmates or those who would facilitate such actions before. I mean, over the last 12 months, rolling 12-month average, you found about 2,000 items of contraband, mostly phones, in the space. So it's not that we can't find them. I think now that we have the appropriate consequences, you're going to see a change.
Mr. Samuda, that's not the issue, because I think the issue is how they're coming in.
No, so you have a number of issues, right? The first issue, which is the one we've just solved, is the legislation. Somebody being fined $1,000, $5,000 really wasn't enough of a deterrent to make anybody stop it. The issue around the entry protocols, you've got significantly more items being, attempts being made to bring stuff in. So the issue is we won't be really finding the items. The issue is that now you have a consequence that matches a crime. My experience with correctional officers is that majority of them are good, hard-working, patriotic Jamaicans, right? You do have a few bad apples, as you have in every organization. I think the bad apples have given the correctional services a bad name. Now that we have the law, we'll be investing in the technology and the infrastructure that we need to change the entranceways to our space. We'll be putting in significantly greater monitoring, as well as cell phone blockers where we need to have those, which isn't necessarily suitable in all locations.
Is it a case, we've been hearing this talk about cell phone blockers. Is this the thing where this is effective? Because it doesn't seem to be.
No, well, they're not in use. So there was talk of needing them, right? But they're not in use currently. So there couldn't be a metric to determine effectiveness yet or no. They've been used in the past and it caused issues in the communities around them because the technology wasn't yet refined. Significant improvements in technology have come about since.
So based on your knowledge, there's no issue really inflow of contraband?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we now have that's not what I'm saying either.
Okay.
There is an issue with contraband, which is why we spent the time to put in place legislation to deal with it. Legislation was not fit for purpose before, it's now fit for purpose. It's likely to be gazetted later this week. We wouldn't be able to operationalize it yet until we get back the final gazette from printing office, which I expect to be sometime this week. And then you hand over the law to the correctional services and the police to implement, right? Where they need technology, where they recommend infrastructural changes, we'll allocate the resources necessary. You have a situation where you have a 9% crime decrease and a 10% increase in murder. And that's not an easy topic to discuss, right? Because every single statistic that you quote in there is a victim of crime. It's a Jamaican who was lost their life, a family that is suffering, and we take that very, very seriously. Let's be clear, the threat that Jamaicans face from crime is always evolving, and that's not unique to us. The recent increases are commensurate with increases both in Central America and in North America. The US last year had a 30% increase in murders, highest in any other, the highest increase they've ever had. And many of the gangs that we have operating here operate on a transnational basis. Now, that's not to make excuses, but that is to give context for the issues that you face. Though we've made significant investments over the last 4 years, we have had some setbacks. There can be no debate that it wasn't helpful losing the use of the state of emergency with the vote that came from the opposition in this space. The facts remain that there are 7 police divisions that have accounted for the increase in murders. Of the 7 police divisions, 5 had been recommended by the security chiefs for the use of a state of emergency, which gave us particular powers with the army and particular powers to use under that legislation. That was taken away and that didn't help. Now, there are many other things that the government is doing that we believe will bring about or will stem the tide in short order. Things like the Corrections Act will help. It's not about contraband for the sake of contraband and just a thought. The facts remain that many of our murders emanate from the prisons, and if you cut off the communication, we believe that that will have a particular impact in communities. But there are many other things to come, right? The Firearms Act is critical. Issues of bail have to be confronted by the society. And we have to resolve this issue of how we use the army.
What is your vision in terms of use for the army?
Well, it's not about my vision, right? The Constitution does allow for declarations of states of emergency when there is a threat that threatens the lives of Jamaicans and the stability of the nation. And no one can deny that national security, or rather that the security situation has presented a threat to our citizens for as long as I've been alive, as long as you've been alive. We don't know what it is as persons, as Jamaicans under 40, to know what it is to live in a safe, secure country. We've had a murder rate for all of my life that is far too high. There's literally never been so we can quote 1400, we can quote 2005 with 1600, we can pick numbers and years to look at, right? But certainly in all of my adult life, the numbers have never been low enough. There's never been a year to celebrate, quite frankly, right? And the facts remain. You have gangs that operate in a paramilitary way in 7 of your 19 police divisions that require the use of army to bring about peace to the communities in the space. The legislative space, the legislation that we have that allows the JDF to function in a particular way is the declaration of a state of emergency. This nonsense that you can use the JDF the same way with other pieces of legislation is just simply not true, right? It's not true, and it's unfortunate that we've gotten to this point. But there are several other priority pieces of legislation that will come in the first quarter and into the first half of next year to improve the legislative framework. We'll continue to invest at unprecedented rates in the strength of our police. We will continue to modernize our overall architecture. You'd have noticed also on Friday that we passed the MOCA regulations. So MOCA is now, we've built the institution, which is the Jamaican FBI of sorts. There are many other things to be done, right? Some you can discuss on a fly, some